Hello everybody, Happy New Year from the Ecke Ranch. Thanks for joining us today for our preview of the 2012 Ecke Poinsettia program. I'm Rebecca Simmonsma, Technical Services Manager for the Ecke Ranch, and I also have with me today Roger Kehoe, Senior Key Accounts Sales Manager for the ranch.
Hello everyone, Happy New Year, and welcome to our first webinar of 2012.
All right, thanks Roger. A couple housekeeping items we'll go through quickly. As always, when we do our webinars you can hear us, but we can't hear you. Ask as many questions as you like using the question and answer toolbar to the right of your screen. And if we have any unanswered questions after the session's over today, if time hasn't allowed us to get to all the questions, we'll be happy to answer those via email after the session. Today's session is being recorded, and approximately 24 hours after the session, it can be viewed at www.ecke.com. If you click on the On Media tab, that's Ecke's own YouTube channel, and you can view this webinar as well as all the other webinars that we've recorded in the past. So from talking with most of our customers, it sounds like we're coming off of a really strong poinsettia season. And what better time to take a look back at the season, reflect, and hear about all that's new for 2012 as we plan programs. So for today's session, the first thing we'll do is go through the logistics and basics of the Ecke Poinsettia program, pricing, etc. Then we'll get to the really exciting stuff, which is what's new and our brightest stars from the Ecke Ranch. We're also going to talk about how just by growing Ecke Poinsettias you can increase your profits. We'll introduce to you the 2012 Ecke Trial Collection, which is available for purchase now. We're going to give you some examples and ideas of product forms and packaging that you can use to increase your profits. We'll also talk about the importance of combination planters in today's marketplace and the importance of variety selection in your poinsettia program. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll get through kind of the housekeeping stuff with the basics of the 2012 Ecke Poinsettia program first. Early order discount is in 2 weeks from tomorrow, which is February 3rd. And so hopefully, you'll find that the timing of this webinar allows you enough time to plan your program and hopefully get your orders in by the 3rd so that you can take advantage of that discount that we offer for those early orders. The summer shipping season for 2012 runs from weeks 21 through 39. We have 4 forms available for poinsettia cuttings this year. We have our unrooted cutting, callus cutting, the rooted cutting, and our ES78. One tray equals 100 cuttings plus a 4% overcount. And then we do have some minimum order quantities required. Per cultivar it's 100. And then rooted, it's 200, a minimum purchase of 200 cutting. And for URC and callus cuttings, it's a minimum purchase of 1,000 cuttings. Again, we'll go back over the available cut types that we have from the ranch. We have 3 different sizes in our URC cuttings. We have the Euro 1.5-inch cutting, the standard 2-inch cutting, and the direct stick 3-inch cutting. Direct stick, that's what DS stands for. And that's a little bit larger cutting, best suited for direct sticking. We have our callus cutting, we have ES78, which I'll elaborate on in the next slide, and then we also have our rooted cuttings, which are delivered from regional rooting stations. ES78 is a supply chain revolution from the Ecke Ranch. It's a pre-stuck callus cutting that ships from offshore. If you purchase the ES78 snap system, it includes 3 strips of 26 snap stems that ship dense and then can be split into strips for easy spacing. Each snap cell includes ES media to protect and promote rooting, and ES cuttings pre-stuck offshore and calloused for quicker rooting. With the purchase of the cutting, of course, you also get reliable Ecke logistics and excellent customer and technical support. It is a landed price, which includes the cutting, IPF, and truck freight. By doing the ES78, it reduces propagation time by about 2 weeks. It helps smooth out labor spikes and eliminates things like sticking labor. You also are getting trays and media when you receive those ES78, so you're reducing material costs. So there's a lot of different ways to look at this program and help you potentially save money. If you're more interested in information about the SNAP system, you can go to ecke.com. Or you can contact customer service or your key account sales rep in your region, and we'll be happy to talk with you about that. pricing information for our core varieties. That would be most of our varieties that we offer, including things like Prestige, Jubilee, most of our new varieties. We have some deluxe varieties, which include Winter Rose Dark Red and the Winter Rose Early family. We do have volume tier discounts available for those varieties as well, and that late season discount on the URC. Okay, sorry folks, it looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty here with the connection. Roger, what do you see on your screen? Just to do now? Volume tier discounts and a discount on that late season URC as well. And we have our specialty collection, which is things like eggnog, peppermint twist, ice punch, some of those real novelty types. And we don't have volume tier discounts, but there is POP available with that material. We have some bundled combinations as well. These are varieties that you can order by name, and then you'll be shipped the appropriate number of cuttings per the recommended container size. You can order by name, and there's things like red, glitter, and Primero white, which is a combination planter called All That Glitters. There would be things like classic red and white, Three Wise Men. There are some examples of this in the back of our catalog, and there's also detailed ordering and cultural information on our website where you can see which container size each of these varieties is recommended for and how many cuttings you'd be receiving if you're interested in the bundled combinations. Roger, do you have any additional comments while I'm looking through our questions?
No, I know that there were some difficulties there in transmission, so I guess bear with us. I think it's all back and working well now, and we'll see how we can proceed.
Okay, yep, it looks like that was the only comments I got. The audio was gone, but I think we've got it back now. So, okay, good. Well, now we get to the fun stuff. Roger's going to talk with us about the exciting introductions that we have for 2012.
Okay, in our catalog, we start out with Tikal Red. You can see there that we have 1055 in parentheses. Many of you track varieties at trials, maybe in our trial collection, and you keep track of those numbers. We put those in parentheses in the catalog, the website, and most places where we print the names of the new introductions especially, so that you can trace back to your trial and compare to the notes that maybe you've taken as you visited and seen this product or trialed it in your own greenhouse through the trial collection process. But Tikal Red starts us off here, a nice bright red color. Its characteristic is having bright red bracts held above a dark green foliage with excellent vigor, strength, and upright habit. Large showy cyathea, a large cyathea, very strong and very long-lasting with outstanding post-harvest production characteristics. It's the longest lasting cyathea of any variety that we have, and certainly a characteristic worth considering where that's important in your market. Excellent choice for larger production forms, and it is a later sport of Advent Red, so if you see a similarity, it sure is. It's just a later timing, and the culture is very similar to Advent, so if you know how to grow Advent or have worked with that variety before, this one's similar except for adapting to the different timing. It's an early season 8-week response time, initiates approximately September 15th. So that's somewhat later than Advent, and it's an excellent choice for large containers. Will size easily without extra growing time, has a good natural vigor. It's suitable for 6-inch production, and consider reducing growing time for that size as it is fairly vigorous. It's a great product to trial for energy efficient production as well. As we know, Advent works very well in energy efficient cool grow programs, and this one will too. And there you can see a close-up showing those large, dense, high-count clusters of cyathea, and certainly a nice, big, bright color. Very traditional appearance, almost an old-fashioned look. Bracts borne nicely above the foliage, but this plant is very tough, very strong plant. And there you can see that traditional look, like a postcard of a poinsettia. Very nice bright red color. I know these photos don't necessarily show the color in the best form on on a web, but these are very, very nice, big, bright, strong bracts. Next we have Premier Red, which was 1188 in trial, and it's an early variety, nice red color there you can see against the dark green foliage. You've got bright, vivid bracts, even under low light finish conditions. So certainly up north, these finish early and come out with very nice bract and nice full centers. It's naturally compact, can be grown even without growth regulators. It's an upright V-shaped branching and best for smaller container sizes, being compact. It's suitable for energy efficient production due to its earliness and strength, good root system. And it's ideal for high density production because of its V-shape and compact nature. It's very early, 7.5 week response time, and initiates early around September 10th for a natural finish of about November 5th. So remember to schedule the plant and pinching according to the early initiation date. We'll talk more about that later, but it's very important to realize the difference in the initiation time and address that in planning and scheduling all the activities around production. And it can be grown successfully without the use of PGRs, as I said. Here you can see that very thick stem and strong upright growth. So here you've got a nice compact variety that fills out very nicely, doesn't grow sideways, and again it's good for that, you can see with a shape, V-shape, it's very good for high density production and ease of shipping and sleeving. There's that bright red bract color. Even in the Northwest, we point that out because the light levels at finish are very low typically in the Northwest, and yet you got a large bract here. You know, not using growth regulators for height control allows the bract to get its maximum expansion. You can see a nice full center and very large bract leaves. Very nice presentation. And it's early. There's a shot October 25th showing a lot of color on it, probably about 65% color. So again, very nice bright color here and early. Monet Early is a new one, 20-09. It's a strong variety and compact, and you can see there it has a nice pepperminty Monet type of presentation and color. And they're held over dark green foliage and naturally compact. So those of you familiar with Monet realize that Monet Early is naturally compact and needs to be grown differently. So this is a great early version of a compact Monet, so it's highly desirable, I think, in production for novelties. Strong branching that's resistant to stem breakage. It's not susceptible to late season stretching, and it is ideal as an early variety and with its strength for energy efficient production under cool grow. Here you see early season 8.5 week response time, initiating in mid-September, and in larger container sizes, since it is early and initiates early, you just have to plant it earlier and pinch it a little bit earlier to achieve the desirable size for those larger containers. And here it is in mini forms, again compact, so I know you would struggle to maybe get Monet to be that compact, but Monet Early is an easy fit in these 4, 5, and 6-inch containers with a great peppermint color. You can see there, nice full color, strong, and not fading and not turning peach. It's just got a nice really deep contrast to it. Here we have a great new addition to our punch series. Sparkling Punch was 41-09 in trials. It was not in the trial collection, but it will be available as a commercial variety in the next season. We'll go to the next slide and see some characteristics. Pink and white serrated bracts held over a very dark green foliage. It has a medium vigor, strong branching, great complement to ice punch. Grow it the same way, ideal for high density production. And that does have that unique punch, ice punch type of pattern to it, which only Ecke has, and it definitely sets it apart in the marketplace and identifies it as a truly unique novelty class poinsettia. Early season, 8-week response time, initiates flowers approximately September 15th. It's adaptable for a wide range of container forms, small up to the large 8-inch and so forth, and consider providing support, especially in larger product forms, as it does get large. Ring it. And here you can see a close-up of the contrast in it. Not a true marbling, although it could be sold, I suppose, in the marble class, but you've got that great ice punch type of coloration coming through with a good solid pink. And here's ice punch and sparkling punch in a combination plant together. There's 2 plants of each there, and they really work well together. They're very complementary, a nice contrast. You can see, you know, the same flower form, size, shape, and so forth. So again, these aren't just somehow distantly related to each other. They're extremely compatible and are truly in a family series here. And when you look down overhead, someone pointed out to me recently that it looks like snowflakes. So it's an attractive pattern. The consumer certainly likes it, and they still identify that ice punch and the punch pattern as being very strong and distinguishable, and a product that the consumer would like to decorate with. So we're calling that the 1-2 punch. We also have Jubilee Pink, was number 5-10. It's got a nice form and color, very similar to Jubilee Red. Certainly a sister plant to that. Medium vigor, upright V-shaped branching that is resistant to stem breakage, superior cyathea quality, resistant to bract edge burn and premature cyathea drop, and it is perfectly matched in timing and habit to Jubilee Red. So we're certainly glad to add the pink to our Jubilee series this year. Jubilee Pink's a mid-season, 8.5-week response time. As you see with Jubilee Red, initiates flowers approximately September 25th, finishes between Prestige Early Red and Prestige. Nice timing, main season, early main, and initial trials suggest energy efficient production is possible. So very versatile plant, nice big large bracts. Very good presentation, bracts held nicely above the foliage. Here you can see the red and the pink together in our open house trial in Encinitas this season. Close up of the color. Nice full cyathea, good cyathea bud count on the Jubilee series. And there's that great habit. Born, you can see there's all color above the foliage, and you can just see that that will sleeve easily, and of course it has the stem strength to minimize any chance of breakage, and good post-harvest characteristics in shipping. Nice dark leaf. We do have a delete list for 2012. This is listed in the catalog. You can see salmon stars, sub with marin or marble star, Gala Red and Gala White, and we would sub with an enduring red, white, or use the Jubilees. Shimmer Pink can sub with Shimmer Surprise or Sparkling Punch now. Independence Red, Prestige Early Red, or Jubilee. And Early Joy Red and Early Joy Pink, you can sub with Freedom Early Red and Pink. Any questions?
Yep, we've got quite a few that have come in, Roger. One of the first ones that we've got is a question regarding pricing on sparkling punch. This particular customer has grown ice punch for many seasons now and is aware of the fact that it's a premium priced cutting. They're wondering if they can expect the same with sparkling punch.
Well, that's a good question. Sparkling punch is one of our core variety pricing, so it's similar to Prestige or Jubilee. It is not in the premium pricing program.
Okay. Another question about sparkling punch, because we've had a lot of growers that have done ice punch, and initially didn't always find ice punch one of the easier varieties to grow because it has vigor that can kind of be underestimated. Do we have recommendations as far as growth regulating for sparkling punch?
We do, and for ice punch as well. The information is online, but in general you want to grow the plant early on, get a good root system out. You may think that with the smaller leaves and its early size that it won't be vigorous and won't grow, and that's a mistake. Usually after initiation and into late September, early October, it will get a growth spurt, and that's when you want to do your growth regulator application, and not at the end of production when you would tend to maybe delay the color, minimize the contrast that you get with that unique pattern, and end up with small bracts as well. So all that technical information is available online and directly from us if anyone needs.
Another question here about culture specifically and Monet Early. The traditional Monet Twilight's been around for a number of years. It's very vigorous and it's an old light leaf cultivar. Just differences in culture in terms of fertilization, because Monet Early is a dark leaf cultivar. Did we hear you correct when you said it was a dark leaf cultivar and not light leaf like Monet Twilight?
That's right. It's dark leaf and has a completely different habit, and of course it's earlier, so it needs a whole different growing regime to it. And the Monet part of it is more the color that you see in the bract, but certainly not the habit, the form, or growing instructions that we provide with it.
Yep, I would just add to that it's a dark leaf cultivar, so in general we're looking at about 20% less fertility requirements than a Monet type. And a completely different animal altogether, because Monet Twilight is very late and it's very vigorous, and so there's a lot of differences in how it matures color-wise and what it needs fertility-wise throughout the season. So definitely pay close attention to those culture guidelines, which are posted live, as Roger said. Okay, well, it looks like we've covered all of the questions that have come in about new introductions. Feel free to continue to ask questions as they come up throughout the presentation. And I kind of want to point out on these question slides as well, all the photos that you see on the slides are from our 2011 Ecke Poinsettia open house. We did some work this year with Pottery Barn, actually, and they came in and did some decorating and used poinsettias for decor. All of these photos are available from Ecke Media Gallery. If you need information for how to access those photos, just let us know, because we do realize that it's important for some of you to show your customers how they can actually decorate with poinsettias, and that's part of improving the value of a poinsettia, is showing the customer that it's more than just a potted plant to put on the coffee table. So there's some really great photography to take a look at as we go throughout, and again, they're available for your use if you need it. I want to talk about how you can increase profits with Ecke genetics just by growing Ecke genetics. The way that we breed our poinsettias, it's always with the thought in mind that we want our customers to not just grow beautiful plants, but also to be successful and increase your profits. Profitability in today's competitive poinsettia market can be a challenge. Making poinsettias profitable is a solution, as I said, is a solution that Ecke is always striving for. We don't just breed beautiful poinsettias so that you can grow a beautiful poinsettia. Our goal is for you to make money, obviously, and so we try to come up with plants that are more grower friendly, they transport well, and they hold up to the stress of the retail environments, and then obviously they're recognized by consumers as the most beautiful. Ice punch would be a great example of that. Year after year in the trials, it continues to be one of the #1 recognized poinsettias, and we actually have consumers that will go to their local garden centers and ask for that variety by name. And I apologize, folks, today for some reason it keeps advancing 2 slides, and so sometimes I'm having to go backwards, so I apologize for the technical difficulties. There are 4 different ways that you can increase your profits by growing Ecke genetics. The first would be high density, then we'll talk about controlling shrink, energy efficient varieties, and then the 4th way would be to grow all together, to do all 3 types of production together and increase your profits even more. High density production is where you're growing more plants in the same space, energy and labor that's already being used. The key to successful high density production is variety selection. Some varieties just don't do well when they're grown high density, and you can have some negative effects in terms of stretching, poor branching, etc. And so it is important that you choose those varieties that have strong, upright, V-shaped branching, which Ecke is known for characteristically breeding towards. And then depending on the variety, it does offer you, and pot size, it does offer you the opportunity to grow anywhere from 14 to 20% more plants in the same amount of space. Some high density varieties and some examples would be Advent Red, our new Premier Red, our new Tikal Red, Prestige or Prestige Early Red, and then we've got a really long list of novelties that can be grown high density as well. Sometimes novelties can be a little bit quirky in production and a little bit harder to produce, but that's also an important goal that we set for ourselves at Ecke, to make sure that our novelty varieties are just as grower friendly as the rest. We have Jester, Chianti, Orange Spice, the winter roses like peppermint twist and eggnog, and these are just some examples. There are a lot of other varieties that can be grown high density, which of course you can find on the website. Controlling shrink is another important aspect of improving profitability with your poinsettia crop. Shrink equals the loss of plants due to production or transportation damage. There's multiple factors that contribute to shrink. Some examples of where you would have plant loss due to and which result in shrink would be stem breakage, low bract count, cull due to poor quality, or transportation damage. Now you would think with shrink, if you throw that plant away, you just have to sell another plant to make up for that plant that you lost. Recent work done by Dr. Jim Faust and Peter Conjoyan have actually shown that for every plant lost due to shrink, you actually have to sell 2.5 more plants to be sold just to make up for that lost revenue. So that's just to make, to break even for that plant that you had to throw away. So controlling shrink and minimizing the amount of plants that you have to discard at the end of the season and aren't saleable really is very important. Variety selection is of course very important with controlling shrink. You want to choose varieties that have naturally stronger stems and upright V-shaped branch angle. Some examples of good choices would be Advent, Jester, Tikal, Prestige and Prestige Early Red, Winter Rose, Jubilee, and Solstice. But there are quite a few varieties that we would consider excellent varieties for controlling shrink, and there is a complete list available. You also want to choose varieties that have stronger post-production characteristics. You want to choose those varieties that are resistant to cyathea drop, so that they're holding those cyathea nice and long throughout the course of the season and at retail and for the consumer. They're not susceptible to botrytis or bract edge burn. Some good choices for varieties that have outstanding post-production characteristics would be Advent, Tikal, Chianti, Jester, Prestige, Jubilee, Polar Bear, and Winter Rose. And then energy efficiency is a concept that we've talked about for several seasons now from the Ecke Ranch. Energy efficient poinsettias allow growers to reduce total energy costs to produce their poinsettias. Ecke poinsettias are bred to be grown cold, not just finished cold, and so that's part of our breeding program now, is to find out how those varieties can be grown energy efficient. And you can see that with the introductions that we talked about today. Roger mentioned for at least 3 of them that they were definitely suitable for energy efficient production. There are some differences out there in terms of what's considered energy efficient. Some suppliers recommend that their varieties be finished cold versus just growing cold, and there's definitely some differences in terms of how much profitability you can recognize by growing cold instead of just finishing cold. And you can see there's an example there of energy consumption in the bottom right hand of your screen, and you can see that Ecke cold grow definitely uses a lot less energy than finishing cold or your traditional poinsettia production. And there is a complete culture guideline available online about energy efficient poinsettias. Every year we continue to update our energy efficient list. This year our list includes Advent Red, Autumn Red, Freedom Early, Freedom Family, Jester, Polar Bear, Prestige Early Red, Jubilee Red and Pink, Monet Early, Red Velveteen, Premier Red, and then Red Angel. Do I have any questions about energy efficiency that have come in? Roger, do you have any comments while I'm looking at the questions?
Yeah, a comment on this beautiful photograph you have on here now. Rebecca mentioned we have developed quite a library from our design center of some of the different uses, applications, situations, containers, and decoration opportunities with a poinsettia. So if any of you need those, you can contact us or your key account sales manager in your region, or contact the ranch directly, and we can get you some good photos. We also have posted some online, but certainly we have the widest selection and the broadest gallery of photos of poinsettias of anyone in the industry.
Roger, questions come in about Tikal, and this particular grower is wondering if we can speak to Tikal's performance in warm regions such as the southeast.
Yeah, one of the advantages would be that being related to Advent, it won't heat delay and will size very nicely and be on time in even the hottest parts of Florida. So it's got a great use there. The challenge and the opportunity is just to grow it in a larger container would be to make sure that you do maintain some height control. And again, with that variety, you want to get your applications on the early side and not wait until you're close to substantial coloration that would make the bracts smaller. But it is an extremely heat-tolerant variety, as is Advent, and they work very well in the Deep South.
Okay, another question here about variety selection. This grower is a big fan of Prestige, but has never found a white that they feel like truly matches Prestige in terms of all its great attributes. Do we have some recommendations for a white that they could use to partner with Prestige?
Well, they can use Polar Bear, and we have Classic White. We don't have a white, we don't have colors in the Prestige group, except for the maroon and then the early timing version of Prestige, but they're all reds and shades of red. So certainly, you know, we've got these other products. We're also working on a Jubilee White that would be coming along in the future and work well with Jubilee. So there's many good white options there.
Yeah,
to your mind, Rebecca?
Well, I would say pay attention to the 2710 that's in the trial collection, and that might be a really good option. And I have seen a lot of growers use Polar Bear and Prestige even in combo pots and have been very successful with it. I think depending on the application, Classic might be just a little bit vigorous for Prestige, but Polar Bear definitely matches in terms of timing and habit. It's one of the whitest whites on the market, and as we said earlier, it's more competitively priced. So I think Polar Bear would be a good option, and then pay attention to that 2710 that's in the trial collection. Okay, good question that's come in here about Tapestry. If Tapestry is a variety that's been out on the market a couple years now, it is sort of a compact to medium vigor variety, and this grower would like to know how successfully they feel, or we feel they could be if they add additional grow time to get that to size in larger pots.
Well, that's a great question. It's a great opportunity. It should be planted earlier as a compact variety, and it will grow to a larger size if you plant earlier, and allow more time between pinch and initiation. So always watch your initiation date, and if you normally allow, say, 3 weeks from pinch to initiation on most of your crop, if you need more size and you typically see that a variety is short, you can just back up your pinch date and back up your corresponding propagation date and transplant dates, and go ahead and grow some more vegetative plant underneath the bract and size up very nicely without having to push the plant or otherwise maybe sacrifice finished quality.
Okay, another question here about high density. This is a really good question. So does high density production equal a smaller plant for retail and the consumer? You know, not just smaller product form, but just the overall bract expansion, leaf expansion, etc.?
No, it's more a question of the habit and the form and the tolerance of the plant to crowding, but you don't have to sacrifice with high density the overall appearance or presentation to the plant. I mean, even the Premier that I showed earlier as one of the new varieties for 2012 can be grown under high density, but that has very large bracts on it. But if they don't grow sideways or horizontally and they grow more in an upward direction, you've got a naturally compact variety, it tolerates that closer spacing much more easily. So you don't have to go to a plant that has small or mid-sized bracts. You can go full bract size and just pull the form right and just grow it well with normal good cultural practices.
Okay, let's see. We have had a few more questions come in here. Let's see. This grower says they've had problems with stem breakage on varieties. Let's see. We've had problems with stem breakage on varieties that we didn't expect, such as Polar Bear and Classic. How to avoid? You know, that's kind of a complex topic. What I'd actually like to do, we do have some really good technical information available called Optimizing Branching on Poinsettias. It talks a lot about spacing, fertility, timing of your pinch and your plant, and actually pinching techniques that have a lot bigger impact on stem breakage than it's often thought. And so what I'd like to do is after the webinar, I'll look at your contact information and I'll be happy to email you that document. There is a webinar available online too that deals specifically with optimizing branching, which is, you know, basically avoiding stem breakage. So, okay, now we're going to go through and Roger's going to talk with us about the ever popular 2012 Ecke Trial Collection.
Okay. So on here we have in 2012 some new introductions in the trial collection. Experimental numbered varieties, 8 varieties in total. So you get a box of 8 strips in our standard rooted format, and each strip has a different variety. And we'll talk about each of those. Sparkling Punch. Sparkling Punch is in our catalog. It's also, you know, a commercial variety, but this way you don't have to buy 100 plants if you don't want to. With having this in the trial collection, it gives you an opportunity to work with it. It was not in last year's trial collection, and I've already discussed some of the great attributes of it, but medium vigor, early season, same basic plant as Ice Punch with a different color, and in the commercial side it has pricing that is standard along our basic core line, like Prestige. 2110, naturally compact in a very early season, 7.5 week variety that initiates around September the 10th for a finish around November the 5th. So again, you've got this compact. You can see a trend here. We're looking at varieties that maybe won't require growth regulators, can be used in high density production, and require a minimum of input, can cold grow, and yet give you a strong plant, obviously with a nice large bract there. And a lot of these features, there's just nothing like getting a trial collection, putting them into your own greenhouse in production, and taking a look at how they perform and seeing how the color looks under your conditions. So again, 2110 is going to be possibly a great addition. Not all varieties in the trial collection end up in our commercial offering, but part of this process is to let you trial it and give us feedback on what you think of the variety and its performance. Here's 2010, and it's like the previous slide. However, we have a different color and formation, kind of that glitter bicolor speckled bract. So naturally compact again with a 7.5 week response time. Again, initiating approximately September 10th for a November 5th finish. Another early plant with minimum inputs required to meet that early novelty market. Be very interesting to see how this one works. 2109, naturally compact, early season. However, it's 8 to 8.5 week response time, and it comes in around September 20th. When we talk about when it would bloom, this would be sort of a central latitude average. Certainly in the deep south or up north, you might see a bit of a difference, but this would be what we would expect in middle latitudes normally for response time and for the flower dates as well. 3-10, medium vigor, mid-season, 8-week response time, and initiates flowers a little later, standard time around September 25th for a November 25th finish. But a good, nice upright habit here you can see, good strong plant with thick stems and nice wide bract leaves. 2710, Rebecca just mentioned that a few minutes ago, is a white, looking for a later white around November 25th, with time about as with Prestige, medium vigor, mid-season, 8-week response, pretty basic initiation of around September 25th. You may note we are offering initiation dates They are, of course, approximations, but it gives you an idea of how to schedule pinches and height management and some of the other factors, as we have developed more and more varieties with a broader initiation timing than was typical maybe 10, 20 years ago. And 1295, a compact to medium vigor red, early season, 8 to 8.5 week response time, initiating in mid-September for about a November 20th finish. So again, we're looking at strong root system, thick stems, upright architecture, and nice big broad bract. And it's hard to discuss the color here, but it's a nice deep red color in 1295. And 1303 is another red. You can see a different kind of habit. Medium vigor, early to mid-season, 8.5 week response, initiates around September 15th for approximately November 20th finish. So again, offering more versatility in the reds as we continue to work and trial and fill specific needs that different growers have in different parts of the country in different climates to achieve their finish goals for their customers. Any questions?
Let's see. We've got quite a few questions that have come in about like some stuff that we've already talked about here. Let's see. Questions about sparkling punch in the heat. Do you have any comments about sparkling punch in the heat?
Sparkling punch does well as ice punch does in finishing in the heat. It is a smaller plant actually early on, and so it should be grown, if you're in the south region, minimize the stress, more shade, keep it in the cooler part of the greenhouse, it ventilates well, and it just seems to develop a bigger bract, and you end up with better form and coloration in the end. But there's no red flags or problems with it. Certainly ice punch has grown all the way down into the southern part of Florida or southern part of Texas, so definitely heat tolerant. It's just how to maximize and grow the best one. That would be what we would suggest.
Okay, we've got a question here about flower initiation dates and asking what plant date this is basing off of. I'm assuming we just have to offer some clarification here. The flower initiation dates that we would offer here in today's presentation are based on natural flower initiation dates. So we're not talking about, any kind of lighting or black clothing to manipulate photoperiod. This would all be when the plant naturally initiates if you don't do anything else with lighting. Okay, we're going to keep moving here in the presentation. In this portion of the presentation, we're going to talk about different product forms and packaging, which is a way to increase your value and profits. If you feel like you're in a region where the market's pretty much saturated with your standard 6-inch in a sleeve and, there's not really room for additional plants in that market, then grow something different, offer something different. These next few slides are just meant to give you some different ideas to think about the fact that, there is different packaging available. We'd be happy to work with you on some ideas for packaging, and there's different product forms available. This particular one here is some little Santa pants with a bottle of wine, and that's got a little ice punch in there. This particular example here is kind of meant to mimic cupcakes. Cupcakes are like all the rage right now. There's shows devoted solely to cupcakes, and there's gourmet cupcake eateries popping up all around the country. And so why not appeal to that that portion of the market and offer some plants that appeal to their aesthetic. So these are just with a special little kind of pot cover that looks like a cupcake cup, and then there's a Christmas ornament on top meant to look like a cherry. Very simple. And there's not that there's anything wrong with the standard sleeve. Input costs are important, and additional packaging does cost money, but that doesn't mean that you have to stick with the standard red and green sleeve. We've got one here in really bright, fun colors, which is obviously appealing to different demographics. There's definitely going to be different areas of the country that prefer these brighter colors, genders, also, just that's the point here, is to try to offer something different and maybe get somebody to purchase a poinsettia that wouldn't typically purchase one. Mini forms are very popular. This is just your little non-pinched mini star, but it's in like a cement container, and it's meant to be used as like a party favor or for place card holders at the table, etc. Polar Bear is a really good example of some packaging that we do offer from the Ecke Ranch. This is POP material that is available for an additional purchase. This isn't necessarily what the POP will look like for this year, but we do offer some special programs to help you market your poinsettias. And this is just a slide again from the 2011 Poinsettia Open House, where you can just see lots of different ideas for sleeves and containers, etc. More upscale type ceramic type pots. Even down here we've got little gift bags. A poinsettia shown in a gift bag. So it does require some thinking outside the box sometimes, but Ecke is here to help you with that. Product forms are another way to increase your profits. Not all growers are set up for different reasons to grow the different product forms. May not have bench space when it's time to plant those 8 and 10 inch, etc. So try to diversify your product offering, and that's a good way to increase profitability. The particular plant that's shown here, that is Sparkling Punch, grown in an 8-inch multi-pinched plant. So you can see Sparkling Punch does size very nicely in that large container. It's a beautiful specimen. Here we have a 10-inch multi-pinch, so that's particular variety there looks like Jubilee Red in a 10-inch, and you can see it makes a really nice large specimen type plant. Poinsettia wreaths are also becoming very popular. You do see the wreath movement kind of in other things like succulents and things like that at retail garden centers, so why not do it with a poinsettia? Wreath is assembled at finish with the 2.5-inch single stem minis. The particular variety you see there is Chianti. We do have a technical document on our website about the 2.5-inch minis. So, it's a late stick variety. Again, you can take advantage of that late season discount. Stick your URCs with the Chianti here and then assemble the wreath at the very end, and it's just a wire moss wreath, and the Chianti are stuck in there, and then moss to kind of cover the pots. Really simple concept, easy to assemble, has a high price point at retail. Here we have another. This is a 2.5-inch single minis again, used as individual place settings. Single stem production is a very simple concept. Single stem production is very easy. Variety selection is important, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's a product form that the consumer doesn't always recognize because you get such a larger flower. So single stem is a really good way to increase your margins and offer something different. Trees are popular as well. This is a large ice punch tree. Smaller 6-inch trees are very popular as well, and also offer a shorter crop time. So there is scheduling information available for any of these product forms that you see. Combination planters are another new kind of trend that we see. It's obviously been a big part of the spring market for a number of years, but we do start to see it on holiday planting now. This particular slide here is tapestry with a couple different kinds of ferns, and it's really beautiful. We've got standard poinsettia production here, and then these are assembled at finish. So there's nothing tricky about these where you're trying to grow everything in the same container. They're just assembled at finish. Here we've got ice punch with an orchid and an anthurium, and then ice punch with some succulents. And then here we've got one of our interspecific types. This particular one is Dolce Rosa with a calancho and some succulents. So it's, again, very simple concept. It's a matter of finding a nice container and some complementary plants that can go with that, and then just assembling it finish. Do you have any questions or comments? Anything additional you want to add, Roger, while I'm looking at questions?
Yeah, that's quite an assortment of different products for sure. I really like that Sparkling Punch 8-inch that you showed in a nice container. It's a far cry from just a sleeved 6-inch branched poinsettia that we often see. So, as I said before, we've got lots of good photography of some of these different ideas, and it's a great way to add value to the poinsettia and increase margin. The consumer is definitely wanting to buy products that are ready to go and already pre-wrapped and decorative in their homes when they take them home, not just in a production pot or container. So it's a great way to stand them apart, and I have noticed in my travels this past fall a lot more combination planters using poinsettias with some different species even, just to create interest and follow the trend of an increase in spring products and summer and fall products that we see with combination planters. A lot of opportunities for some new ideas.
We have a question that's come in because we have mentioned several times the importance of variety selection and using varieties that are really best suited for individual container types. This growers asked, what varieties we would recommend for 3-inch pots. And the comment that I would make, there is a very easily accessible PDF version of our catalog on the website if you don't have a copy of our catalog. And the very last, second to last page is a nice spreadsheet. And it lists all of our varieties, and then it has, response time, foliage color, bract color, height, and then all of the different categories that it's well suited for. There's a little check mark for probably, I would say, 90% of our varieties can actually be grown in a 3-inch pot. And so if you don't have a copy of our catalog, you can check the PDF version out on the website. You can also email me at the end of this presentation, and I'll be happy to get a catalog coming your way. Okay, the last portion, that's a nice segue into the last portion of our presentation. Roger's going to talk with us again about the importance of variety selection and scheduling.
Yeah, there's some great varieties for combo pots where you mix different colors of poinsettias together. You've got true families from Ecke for uniformity and timing and habit, so they work well together, and the form is similar, and there's true complements to each other. Very easy to produce because they're on the same timing basis, and they're on the same growth habit, and all the culture would be the same. So they're very foolproof in the ability to time them evenly and have a nice uniform product. Starting out in the very early season, you have the Freedom Early series, many colors available in that group. Early season, we have Freedom colors, Winter Rose Early, Enduring, and Jester. We have mid-season Jubilees, 2 of those now, and we're looking to add more. Classic, we have multicolors available in the Classic and the Peter Stars. And then for late season, the Winter Rose group. So a great opportunity for mixing smaller containers right through the larger containers. And for smaller ones, we see quite a bit actually in the market of Enduring, very bright color series, mixing red and white, or pink and white, or pink, red, and white even, to make some nice unique combination planters and hanging baskets with multicolor. So again, following a trend there, the consumer likes those multicolored products. You have the genetics that will support that production. Single stem production is an opportunity to get a different form and different appearance to the product. They can all be grown as single stem, but some varieties are better than others, and we've identified a list here with Autumn Red, Red Velveteen, and Red Velvet. They are all basically the same genetics on different timings. Nice presentation. Winter Rose family, including Eggnog and Peppermint Twist, are great straight ups. You get those big, large, incurved bracts with those forms. The rose type of presentation, nice and full centers and all. Polar Bear works well as a straight up. The Enduring family does. Prestige Early, Prestige, and Prestige Maroon. The Jubilee and Jubilee family, Classic family, and of course our Solstice Red, one of our latest varieties of the season, coming in late November, early December, is a great deep red, and you get huge bracts on that with that nice large presentation. Single stems tend to ship very nicely and hold up well in post-harvest because they're very strong and, of course, have a great upright habit. We have a lot of cultural information on how to grow this form and how to manage the height uniformly and finish a nice product in the end. So that's available online and available from your Ecke staff. We have strong and easy to grow novelties. Many times I think in the past and maybe with some of our competitors' products, there's difficulty growing the novelties. It takes a lot of jumping through hoops. They're not vigorous. They time strangely. They need to be lit. They need to be black cloth. They need to be, the roots are a problem where you can't get the vigor and then the size and so forth. We do have many shown here that in Ice Punch, Sparkling Punch, Red Glitter, Tapestry, and Orange Spice that are easy to grow, and they're strong plants with good sized bracts and good presentations. So just something to think about that's unique with Ecke on the novelty group. In scheduling, we do have some good information available in the Ecke Poinsettia manual and online. Here's a form that you can fill out where you choose your product form, the pot size, finish height, plants per pot, blooms per pot, figure out when you want to ship it, when it's ready for market, pick the cultivar based on the above information and the chart that Rebecca just described that's in the back of our catalog with vigor indexes. It also shows what products are used in what form successfully and easily. We're not trying to force fit the product. We want it to fit the form that we're listing it. So very important to match those up. How many days of vegetative growth are required? How many days of establishing are required? You know, this process of looking at what you want, when you want it, and working backwards from there and doing the scheduling. We'll talk about that a bit here in the next few slides. Here's a scheduling worksheet separating out south from central and north, and it has the vegetative growth requirements, number of days of vegetative growth suggested between pinching and flower initiation. So you need to know the variety's flower initiation date and then count the number of days that you need. If you're growing a 6.5 inch and you're in a central latitude, normally we would recommend 16 days of vegetative growth to achieve that height with an average growth characteristic, in other words, a medium vigor variety for that product size. So that would be about, say, 16 inches tall in a 6.5 inch pot, maybe 17 inches. You'd want 16 days of vegetative growth in a central geographic location. And in our next slide, you can see that we've offered a growth adjustment based on the habit of the plant. So you could take the 16 days and add 10 for a short variety. So you'd need 26 days between pinch and initiation for a compact variety to size it in a 6.5 inch plant. So that's how you can use that chart. We can help you with this process. I know it's a bit complicated, but these details are all about what makes it easier to grow a poinsettia with minimum stress and input cost. So we're here to help you with those decisions as we plan our crop in the next month or so. And establishing requirements, the number of days required to establish rooted cuttings into the container prior to pinch. And this is often overlooked and very important, but having a good root system and a mature plant that's through the shock of the transplant and is ready to produce laterals, that's when you want to do your pinch. So this is just a guide here to help you determine number of cuttings per container and number of days. Typical 6.5 inch, 2 weeks is what we would recommend to establish a root system before pinching. And this is a very useful table. We have our varieties listed in the column to the left. There's your vigor indices broken down from early, mid, and late season. And right down the middle of the chart you can see when the approximate initiation dates are. So relative to each other you can see anywhere from the 10th of September to the 25th of September. So know your variety and understand when you're counting your days between pinch and initiation and then working back from there when you want to propagate, that you've looked at this and you understand whether you're dealing with an early, middle, or late timing variety, and giving it the appropriate time required to size to the container that you want to finish in. Variety selection, let's say you want to grow a 4 or 5 inch in the early season. Choose varieties that are naturally early and naturally compact or very responsive to PGRs. For example, our new Premier Red would be good for that size product. You're looking for an earliness, and you're looking for the product to fit in a 4 or 5 inch pot, and you don't want to have to soak it with growth retardants in order to achieve the compact size for that container. So choose and match your varieties carefully. We've got a wide selection of varieties to choose from. In a 10 inch and you have a mid-season, pinch plant with 27 inch height would be the spec. Choose varieties with good natural vigor that size nicely, and we'll fill out that container with that large spec. And Classic is an example of that, widely used for 10 inch production to reach those larger heights that are in certain programs and more proportional to the overall pot height. So Classic is a good series, and you have multicolor opportunities there to mix and match the colors, combine them.
Okay, any last questions? Yep, a lot of the questions that have come in now in the last few minutes are, regarding information that's available online. This presentation is being recorded, and it will be available online approximately 24 hours after today's session, so you can always view the presentation again. And almost all the documents that we referenced today are available at ecke.com. So, if you haven't checked out ecke.com, there is a really good library of poinsettia resources there. I have a question that's come in about scheduling. Here it says, the scheduling worksheet, which chart and number of days would you use for British Columbia? So British Columbia, when you're looking at the regional map, your very first recommendation would be whether consideration would be whether it's north, central, or south, and British Columbia would be where we would consider the northern region, wouldn't you say, Roger?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, it actually looks like we've covered all of the questions that have come in. With that, I'm going to let Roger finish the presentation for us today.
Okay. We do have resources that we've talked about. Free online height tracking at ecke.com. On Target, it's called. Go to the website, ecke.com, click on Target, and the system will walk you through the necessary inputs. I know I've seen many growers are using that, and I see the graphs printed and out in the greenhouses during production. Very useful tool. Live interactive bulletin board is a great way to post questions during the season and get information by reading other growers' questions, and it's sort of like continuing education in poinsettia production. So that's our on-board icon at ecke.com, and it's Ecke Ranch Help. You also have at your fingertips your regional key account sales manager. We have Tom Hennessy, our national sales director, but also I handle, of course, the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic region. Steve Flickinger does the Western region. Sam Kimling is up in the Northeast, and Ralph Sendejas handles the Mid-South and Upper Central Midwest region, and Rebecca is available to everyone in the country all the time, right, Rebecca?
That's right. Always here.
Yep.
All right. Well, that concludes today's presentation. We appreciate your time. We, on behalf of the entire staff at the Ecke Ranch, we'd like to thank you, for your loyalty and your business and for the opportunity to share this information with you today. And we wish you a healthy and prosperous and happy 2012. Take care and bye-bye.